This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from an upcoming event entitled CR Sings the Beatles. Tim Riven, Lynne Rothrock, and Greg Cans. For those watching the video, that's in order from what you can kind of see on the camera. People listening on the radio, they don't care in what order I do this. But I'm going to start with Lynne, who has been a guest on the show many, many times as a singer and performer and doing many cabaret performances and other shows as well. But in this one, we're not saying you're not going to take. You're not saying you're not going to take the stage, but your role in this is producer, not not necessarily as performer. So
absolutely.
Tell me how that came about.
Well, I have taught through Theater Cedar Rapids. I taught a series of cabaret classes to adults, and then I directed some cabaret shows at TCR when they were doing it. And it really became obvious to me that there's people in Cedar Rapids who are wildly talented, interested in performing, but maybe can't commit to the length and time commitment of like a big run at Theater Cedar Rapids or another theater company. And that maybe if I created an opportunity for people to get together and sing, that we could do with a limited amount of rehearsal time and just kind of boom, sing, and it would be a win-win. Great shows, great singers, and a more manageable time commitment for people's lives. And so I sort of dreamt this up, which hopefully will be a series if this one goes okay. And I decided to call it CR Sings. And the first one is CR Sings the Beatles.
Oh, if only you could have found a decent catalog of songs.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
it's
just,
been
they're just,
slim
they're just
pickings, let me tell you. But I picked it because it's so universally known and loved, and I figured we have so much material to choose from. And also, it probably appeals to perhaps the demographic of folks that like to buy tickets at the Opus Concert Cafe. But also, it just gave us so much to play with. So yeah, that's the premise.
So Tim Riven is one of the singers. You've been a singer and performer and actor in the Cedar Rapids area for many, many years. Is that true what Lynne said? You were kind of attracted to this because of it wasn't like committing to a 6-week run of a big show?
Yeah, it can be really daunting to take on a long rehearsal period and then a long production run. So I'm always interested in things that are kind of short and sweet that have a really great focus, and it still frees me up to manage other commitments. And it was also an opportunity to work with Lynne because I hadn't done that yet. So in many years of kind of floating around the corridor in different performing circles, when Lynne reached out to me and she didn't have to sell me on it. She kind of told me what the premise was, and it was an opportunity to work with her. So the short rehearsal period, but also the material that we're working on here is pretty great.
Is it a little daunting to take on the music of the Beatles?
It is. It's been, for one, all of the music is iconic, and it's been done so many times. So another thing that was really attractive about this was a way of coming up with new arrangements for the material. And Lynne gave us a lot of input on song selection. So things that we were interested in. She had things that she specifically wanted to do, but she asked us individually as performers if there were songs that we particularly liked. And so then we would be able to come up with arrangements that are fresh and exciting and maybe a little bit different. And it's a nice challenge, yeah.
That is the biggest trick, Lynne, in a program like this, is to find a way to put a new spin on these songs that everybody knows.
Right.
Everybody knows them, so you want to honor that,
yes.
But you also want to give the audience something new.
Yeah, and my primary focus in any situation like this where I'm trying to either put together a show or just trying to get singers together to kind of do their best work is to find out what really turns their motor over, like what songs really speak to you. And some people had very specific songs they really wanted to do, and other people, like bless little Aaron Brewer's heart, he sent me a list of like 40 songs, and I was like, you're probably going to get to do maybe 2-3 by yourself. And so it was a matter of trying to just give everybody something that they really burn to do. And then also, I think, definitely we're not trying to turn everything on its head. People like to hear the songs they're familiar with, but I also think it's just one of the things that makes a song iconic, and according to Michael Feinstein's definition of the Great American Songbook.
Lynn's close personal
My
friend,
self-
Michael
We
Feinstein.
could just call him my boyfriend. It's
Not
fine.
that we're dropping names
no,
or anything,
but
but
his-
you have
his-
taught with him and know
Yeah, I
him
work
pretty
with
well.
him. His definition of songs that would be considered part of the Great American Songbook are that they are that they've stood the test of time, that they have been interpreted by a variety of artists, and that they are well known enough that they become part of our culture. We always associate the Great American Songbook with, at least right now, with Gershwin and Irving Berlin, and but there's absolutely no question that the Beatles will be 100% part of the Great American Songbook. They kind of already are, but give another 20 years, and absolutely those songs will be in that category as well. So part of the deal with that is that they are interpreted by a variety of people, which is cool, because that's what's interesting to me about a song. What is the lyric saying, but how can, what can we do to bring kind of a fresh interpretation? So we're doing that with some things, but I don't think we're doing it so much that people are going to be mad that they don't hear the songs that they love in the way that they want to hear them.
People can still sing along. So
Yeah, there's lots of that.
Well, before we get any further, people watching the video underneath our talking heads, we've said the location, the date, and the time, but we haven't actually said it for the
Okay.
radio audience that. We'll repeat it again, but so this is coming up November 1st.
It's November
yes?
1st and 2nd, and it is at Opus Concert Cafe. Now, as you are well aware, Dennis, there's a little event called First Friday Jazz.
Also on Friday.
Which is a lovely event that has previously knocked that first weekend of every month off the table for anybody wanting to use the space, just because you're not done till 7 or 7:30. So Ed Carr, whom we all universally adore, and I sort of dreamed up this idea, like, what if we just made the Friday show start a little bit later, and then we bought ourselves another weekend, because the Opus is pretty busy room and it's hard to get. And so we're trying it. And I really encourage people to consider coming to the Friday show, which is going to start at 8:30, which, don't be scared. Do not be scared, audience. You can have a little dinner beforehand. You'll still be out by 10:30, no later than you would at a lot of other events. But we're just going to have that little start time be a little bit later so that we can actually utilize the space.
So 8:30 on Friday, and what
And
time
7:30 on Saturday. Yeah, typical starting time on Saturday. Yep.
Well, Greg Cans, like his role in the program most of the time at the drums, not mic'd, has been quietly absorbing all of this. And
he's fact checking right now.
Yes, he's over there like,
So from and of course, Greg, you're the drummer in the ensemble, so that's your role.
He's the world's most adorable drummer.
The world's most adorable drummer.
Which
I'm going to get that on the drum head, I think.
Yeah, there was an actual pageant and he won it. So
So talk to me a little bit about the, as the arrangements are coming together, and like everybody else, you've got the originals of all of these imprinted in your head, and I'm sure you've played them yourself many times, and now you have to kind of reinvent your own playing style to change these iconic tunes too.
Mm-hmm. Well, as Lynn is the producer, we still have meetings without her. So Julia, Dave, and myself had a little team meeting. We're kind of engine room, and we all agreed that we're just going to listen to the tunes as references because we have them in our head, the originals.
yes, correct.
And just make sure we come in there with an open mind and kind of listen to what the singers want to do, and just use that as a reference point. And like I say, it is difficult to get the original out of your head, but we can just use that as a reference to put that together. So I hope that was okay. We had a meeting.
Clearly, you don't really care what I think. You
They
met
asked
without
me, and I said it was fine.
Yeah, Tim was fine with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Tell me about your own history with the Beatles. I mean, was that a formative group for you growing up? I mean, did you think of Ringo and his drumming as was that something that you thought about, studied a little bit?
Well, my parents said that was my second name choice was Ringo, but they're always playing that joke on me. So, but I really love the music, old jazz, original rock and roll. So those are all the drummers I love to listen to. Kind of the simplicity of how they play, and really putting the singer and the band out front, which that's how I got this gig. And
That's how he gets every gig. I'm going to also say, that Greg is, for my money, which is often not nearly enough, which
Oh.
I know we've talked about that in the past. The most tasteful drummer, and also the drummer who's really interested in the whole song and absolutely serving the song and serving what our vision of the song is.
That is a very Ringo-like attitude, because if you think about Ringo's role in the Beatles, he's underrated as a drummer, because he understood that his part was to support what else was going on
Right.
much of the time.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
that's the greatest is when, and that's what Greg does that. Plus, he's just so incredibly nice and funny.
Oh,
Yeah. Did she mention that that's how you're getting it? That's your paycheck for the gig? Yeah, is
And
saying nice things
Hey,
on the radio.
there you go. No.
It's CR Sings, The Beatles, November 1st and 2nd in the Opus Concert Cafe. Okay, and I know that, of course, you've got Tim right here.
Yes, I wanted to say who else is involved.
And yes,
Yeah.
and so let's say who else. Yeah, who else is in the
All right,
ensemble?
so we have Tim Riven, we have Aaron Brewer, we have Marie Rikers, we have Kathy Kabrick, and Tracy Hodina Van Pelt. And then we have Marita May, who I'm sort of convincing to play double duty. So she'll be singing, and she'll also be playing the violin, which she does so fabulously. Those are our singers. And then we have Julia Andrews, who is just my partner in most musical projects, and Dave Olinger.
he brings the cheer.
He's there just to elevate the mood.
Yes, yeah.
November 1st and 2nd in the Opus Concert Cafe. How do people get tickets?
They can go to artsiowa.com, and that's going to take you to a website that will give you opportunity to buy tickets for events at Opus and some at the Paramount, I think, too. So artsiowa.com, or they can call the box office at 319-366-8203. Opus is now letting you reserve your table. So that's something that if you're online, you can look at the picture and see what seats are available. Saturday nights going like gangbusters. There's more seat choices available for Friday. But we sure hope to see people. I'm so excited about this show because I think it's really going to be unique and kind of different from anything else that I have seen that's going on around here. Great singers, and it's just, I think, going to be so much fun.
artsiowa.com for tickets again, November 1st and 2nd at the Opus Concert Cafe. Sounds like a blast. I hope it goes really well.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming in. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or on your favorite podcast app. I'm Dennis Green.